Arm yourself with simple responses to common anti-marijuana assertions. As any good Boy Scout knows, it is always best to be prepared. Fortunately, we are in a position to aid your preparations. Collectively, we have, without exaggeration, engaged in thousands of conversations about marijuana, its uses, its effects, and why we need to reform the laws that criminally prohibit its use by adults. Based on our experience, we can fairly accurately anticipate how others will respond when you raise the subject. So here are some recommended ways to incorporate the marijuana is safer than alcohol message into your conversations. We have even highlighted a few money quotes that will help you win any debate decisively. When someone says, alcohol is bad enough, why should we add another vice? You reply, we would not be adding a vice, we would be allowing adults the option to choose a less harmful alternative for relaxation and recreation. Currently, laws intentionally steer Americans toward the use of alcohol when many of these citizens would prefer to use a far less dangerous substance, marijuana. When someone says, so you want more people using marijuana? You reply, not necessarily, but I do believe that adults should have the legal choice to use whichever substance they prefer. It simply doesn't make sense to punish adults who make the rational choice to consume the less harmful of the two substances. When someone says, I just don't like the idea of more people using marijuana, you reply, what bothers you so much about the notion of an adult using marijuana responsibly in the privacy of his or her own home? Are you equally bothered by the idea of an adult using alcohol under the same circumstances? If not, why not? Why would you rather have adults solely consuming alcohol? When someone says, well, I don't agree that people should use either substance, you reply, we are not going to bring back alcohol prohibition. Alcohol, just like marijuana, is here to stay. The only question to debate is whether our society should keep steering people toward booze, or whether we ought to allow adults legal access to a less harmful alternative that is far less likely to lead to violent and destructive behavior. When someone says, okay, so maybe pot is less dangerous than booze, but smoking marijuana is still illegal, you reply, well, maybe it shouldn't be. Tens of millions of Americans use marijuana. Do you really think it makes sense to put these people in jail or to waste law enforcement resources and court time issuing and processing citations? Why should our laws punish adults who choose to use the less harmful substance? When someone says, but won't legalizing marijuana make it more available to children? You reply, how much more available could marijuana be? Marijuana prohibition has created a situation in which more than 85% of high school seniors say it is very easy or fairly easy to obtain, and nearly 1 out of 2 high school seniors has tried it. It is hard to imagine a system, including one of legalization, that would create an environment where our children have even greater access to marijuana than they already do. When someone asks, but aren't you concerned that you're sending the wrong message to kids? You reply, lying about the relative dangers of pot and alcohol as our social and criminal policies do now is sending the wrong message to our children. We are misinforming our kids that alcohol is safer than marijuana. That message has literally killed thousands of teenagers and will continue to cause countless more deaths. We recognize that kids are exposed to both substances, and the truth is that we don't want adolescents using either one. But we don't do them any favors by creating the false impression that alcohol is safer to consume than marijuana. Even putting aside the multitude of societal problems associated with alcohol use, like violence and sexual assault, the truth is that teenagers can die from an alcohol overdose. That is simply not possible with marijuana. Yet some surveys show that teens falsely believe that it is safer to binge drink than to use cannabis. We must be honest with kids about the relative harms of the two substances while discouraging the use of either one. When someone says, yeah, but if we make marijuana legal, we are going to have more lazy stoners sitting around doing nothing, you reply, that is just a stereotype. Millions of Americans enjoy marijuana occasionally at dinner parties or other gatherings with friends. Their behavior is no different than the way many adults consume alcohol. To say that every marijuana user is a lazy stoner is the same as saying that every person who drinks is overly aggressive and is likely to cause harm to himself or others. When someone says, I basically agree with you, but I don't want more stoners out on the streets, you reply, what is it about an adult using marijuana responsibly that makes you so uncomfortable? If you were walking down the street at night with a friend, would you prefer to encounter a group of men who had been drinking or a group of guys who had been smoking marijuana? Money quotes. We would not be adding a vice. We would be giving adults the option to choose a less harmful alternative for relaxation and recreation. Currently, laws intentionally steer citizens toward the use of alcohol when many of them would prefer to use a far less harmful substance, marijuana. I believe that adults should have the legal choice to use whichever substance they prefer. It simply doesn't make any sense at all to punish adults who make the rational decision to consume the less harmful of the two substances. What bothers you so much about the notion of an adult using marijuana responsibly in the privacy of his or her own home? Would you be equally bothered over the idea of an adult using alcohol in this same situation? If not, why not? Why would you rather have adults consume alcohol?